Hello and welcome. This module is about a very important aspect of team leadership, which is trust and credibility. Trust is the cornerstone of good management. If your employees don't trust you, they will withdraw and disengage. But with trust, people want to contribute energy and commitment. Trust is earned and can be quickly lost and cannot be quickly regained. If members of a team lose trust in each other, it takes a great deal of work to restore it. As the Dalai Lama says, you can't buy trust in the supermarket. As Lady Gaga says, trust is like a mirror. You can fix it if it's broken, but you can still see the crack in the reflection. In this module, we'll talk about integrity, the 5 C's of integrity-driven leadership, and common mistakes to avoid in dealing with your employees and establishing yourself as an effective role model. First, integrity, which is defined as the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. Integrity is acting in accordance with your values and principles, regardless of the situation. But what does integrity have to do with leadership? Integrity is closely aligned with trust. In fact, integrity cannot exist without trust. Employees need to know that they can trust their leaders. One of the main things you can do is always tell the truth, regardless of the circumstances. Give employees the real story as much as you can, given that sometimes you have to maintain confidential information. Another thing you can do is to act in a consistent manner. This is one of the most important things you can do as a supervisor or manager. Follow policies, be dependable, be balanced so employees know when they come to you, you won't fly off the handle, get angry, or respond in an inconsistent way. Consistency is also important to ensure fairness. If you act in an inconsistent way, someone might say that was unfair or perhaps discriminatory. It's difficult to be 100% consistent all of the time, but try your best. Another point, don't be selfish. Don't always think of your own career goals and aspirations. Demonstrate an interest in the growth and well-being of your staff members, and not just in yourself. Don't throw employees under the bus, don't talk about them to other people, and maintain the integrity of your relationship by not disclosing personal, private, confidential information. Also, make sure you have the knowledge and skills to be an effective supervisor or manager. You don't have to know everything about all processes, but you need to know a little bit about what every one of your staff members is doing. Continually upgrade your own skill set by doing classes like this, and continually learning new things by reading books, watching videos, and taking on new projects. You were promoted into a supervisory and management position because you were good at your job from a technical standpoint. Make sure that you also have the interpersonal leadership capabilities to lead a team effectively. Another point, keep your word. If you say you're going to do something, follow through. And if it doesn't happen for one reason or another, tell the employee why. And don't choose the easy way. Sometimes shortcuts are necessary. However, if you're always choosing the easy way out, employees will see that. And not only are you setting a bad example, but they think you're doing a shabby job, and their opinion of you has gone downhill. You've lost trust and credibility. Be principled. This means that you must be trustworthy and dependable. This is an important part of maintaining your integrity and credibility. And finally, do the right thing. Easy to say, harder to do. Being honest and open in all of your dealings with employees is essential. All of those actions are ways to demonstrate integrity. You can do this if you have a consciousness of the importance of you establishing your authority and building a trusting and credible relationship with your staff. Let's talk about maintaining trust. Author Randy Pennington, in Integrity-Driven Leadership, comes up with 5 ways to maintain trust. And they conveniently all start with the letter C. The first one is character. For leaders, personal character can be the difference between achieving long-term commitment or settling for mere compliance from other employees. Leaders who embody basic principles such as honesty, trustworthiness, loyalty, justice, patience, and duty find that their new programs and initiatives are accepted as honest attempts to move the organization forward. Competence. Integrity-driven leaders realize that individuals must have the necessary knowledge and ability before being held accountable for their performance. They recognize their individual strengths and weaknesses and surround themselves with the best talent available. It goes without saying that communication skills are key. Also important is consistency. If you have the reputation of being consistent, you're probably a very good role model. And finally, courage. Courage requires leaders to go out on a limb, to deliver on their promises, and to take personal risk. Certainly, that's not all that's required for maintaining trust, and we've come up with 5 additional C's to build upon the model from integrity-driven leadership. The first word is collaboration. Collaboration means working together, solving problems, resolving conflict, and moving the organization forward. Courtesy means being kind to employees and giving them the benefit of the doubt. Confidence is important, not only your own personal confidence, but building the confidence of your staff members. Calm means being balanced and not overreacting when things go wrong. And champion means being a cheerleader for your employees, encouraging them, coaching them, and inspiring them to reach higher levels of performance. Granted, that's a lot to remember. However, being authentic and true to yourself is important, and as we've discussed before, doing the right thing and being an effective role model. Let's talk now about avoiding some common mistakes that can be detrimental to how employees perceive you in terms of being trustworthy and credible. Avoid these common mistakes that can ruin your credibility. Using people or showing an interest in your subordinates solely in terms of what they can do for you. Acting superior and using every opportunity to tell people how smart you are. Staying in your office or cubicle all day, or worse, having the door closed all day. You need to be accessible to your employees. Hiring only people who think like you. Successful leaders understand the power of diverse thinking. Insecure leaders work hard to surround themselves with people with similar backgrounds or won't challenge their authority. Lying. Lying undermines the most critical element in any relationship, which is trust. Employees must know that they can trust their leader to always tell the truth, regardless of the circumstances. Being ambiguous. Sometimes things are not as clear-cut as we would like them to be, but fact-based decision-making is certainly desirable. There are situations that are ambiguous, and perhaps you don't have the facts, but you have to be decisive and effective in moving forward. Failing to take responsibility. Leaders understand that responsibility goes with the territory of their job. Credibility and respect are instantly lost when group members see their leader attempt to shirk their responsibilities. Analysis paralysis. This occurs when supervisors and managers try to game the situation and find out as much information as possible, forcing them to stall in their decision-making, which makes people question their authority. Telling, not listening, and talking more than you listen. Managers need to ask questions, solicit feedback, and utilize the information that employees provide to them. Supervisors and managers don't have all the answers, and they should work with their staff members to gather insight into what's really going on in their team or department. Rules of engagement. Here are some practical rules for handling certain situations that will inevitably come up in your career as a supervisor or manager. The first is maintaining friendships. You spend a lot of time at work and you may be friends with people who report to you. You may have been promoted from the team and are making a transition from peer to supervisor. Of course, it's good to be friends with your colleagues. It promotes camaraderie and teamwork and builds morale and makes the day go a little bit faster if you're enjoying yourselves. The problem arises when your former peers consider you to still be one of the gang and share criticisms, gossip, and jokes that may be inappropriate. It's important that you get out of this loop. Being friendly and concerned with people's private lives is important. But remember your role as a manager or supervisor, that 100% of the time that you're with employees, you need to maintain that level of authority and responsibility. Don't let your career or your reputation get off track because of excessive workplace banter, jokes, and other discussions. Your peers will be looking to you for leadership, and you must assume the position of being an effective role model. There are certain ground rules for maintaining friendships with your former peers. First of all, don't discuss other team members. Don't discuss supervisory decisions, especially if the decisions are not yet public. And don't discuss any compensation issues or any personal and private information of your team members. Also remember that if you do socialize with your team members after working hours, at all times you need to be an effective role model and representative of management, and you need to behave appropriately and step in case some of the conversation gets off track. Supporting management's decisions. As a member of management, you need to think as a team leader and support the policies regardless of your personal opinions. You may not agree with decisions that are made by management. You can say, I may not agree with this, but I'm going to support it. You need to be a representative of the organization and represent it well. An exception would be if the policy was unlawful or unethical. And sometimes you have to make unpopular decisions. Sometimes you're caught in the middle of what employees want and the needs of the organization. You may be unable to get an employee's request approved by management. You need to be honest and firm, express your apologies, and say, I'm sorry, but the decision is final. The same response is appropriate for any other situation where you might be called on to assert your authority over your peers. Be polite but firm, and don't come down to their level and commiserate. Don't make strange faces, roll your eyes, or engage in any passive-aggressive behavior. You're the supervisor, and employees look to you for guidance on how they should respond. In summary, we talked about the importance of trust and credibility in supervising or managing staff. You want to make sure that you're demonstrating integrity in all of your decisions and actions, and taking steps to maintain the trust of your staff members. Being honest, candid, open, collaborating, communicating, and demonstrating character, courage, and other actions to build and maintain the trust between employees and their supervisor. We also want you to avoid the common mistakes that we talked about to ensure that you are a good role model and your behavior is not ever called into question. Thank you. This has been a presentation of I2I Workplace, Team Leadership, Trust, and Credibility.